Mortgage rates fell back below 7% last week, and things are looking good for home buyers in 2024. Mortgage rates have dropped nearly 1.5% so far without the Fed cutting rates at all. What does this tell you? It's a foreshadowing that the bond market knows the Fed is done with rate hikes and cuts are coming soon. For the 5th week in a row, we've seen an increase in the number of people applying for mortgages. So if you've been waiting all year for this big price crash that the media has been pushing so you can buy a home at a huge discount, that ship has sailed. Your next best opportunity to buy is going to be between now and January, when demand is seasonally at its lowest. My name is Michael. I'm a real estate agent here in the Dallas area, and every Monday I give you a weekly update covering all of Dallas and Collin counties. We're looking for trends. We're tracking mortgage rates as well as mortgage purchase applications, as that's our best leading indicator to what demand will look like 30 to 90 days from now. We're looking at things like median list price, days on market, how many homes are having price decreases, what's inventory looking like, and if you stick around until the end, it's my favorite part, the top 10 ranked charts of both hottest and coolest cities and zip codes in all of Dallas and Collin counties. If this sounds like something you're into, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you're looking to buy or sell in the Dallas area, whether it's next week or next year, I'd love to connect. I've helped every one of these yellow dots find their little piece of Texas, and I'd love to help you too. Just call, text, or shoot me an email. All that info is in the description. Okay, today is December 18th. Let's see what the data is telling us. And if this is an old video, you can click the playlist here and it'll get you to the latest weekly market update. Also, next week is Christmas, so there won't be a video. So actually the next time I see you guys is going to be January 1st. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to you all. And let's get started with market news. After 2 straight years of double-digit declines, home sales are finally looking like they're going to pick up in 2024, thanks to these low mortgage rates. In fact, once we see the final data for December, it's likely that 2023 will be the worst year for existing home sales since 2008. Or maybe even 1995. New home sales, however, will have had their 3rd or 4th best year since 2008. Of course, one reason is builders have been able to offer low rates, but the bigger reason is, by nature, new home sales are in the business of creating supply, which is the thing we have a shortage of. So right after mortgage rates, the next big problem is we still have no inventory. So both of those things contributed to very low sales volume this year. Nobody wants to give up their 3% rate to buy at an 8% rate, so they're not selling. New construction is not hindered by this at all, so they've had a great year. Now, if you missed the Fed announcement on Wednesday, Powell announced that the Fed anticipates making 3 25 basis points rate cuts throughout 2024. So we're now entering a new phase of monetary policy. As a result, home sales are going to rise next year. What we had this year was a bottoming of the market. Demand was completely demolished by these high rates. And I want you all to take a look at this chart. This chart is the number of people applying for mortgages every week, which is the best way I know to gauge demand. Look at how low demand has been compared to all of the previous years. We are way down here. So every week when you hear we're having these increases, we're going from here to here to here. And you can bet with rates coming down, demand is certainly going to increase from here. Mortgage rates have already come down to 6.6%, and as you can see, demand is returning. But I also want to show you, like, home prices are not dropping, inventory is not increasing, and that's with demand down here. What do you think is going to happen to inventory and prices when this demand gets back up here? It's not going to be good. Please don't wait until demand is back up here. Just don't do it. So right now I'm speaking to 2 categories of people here. The first is people who are waiting for housing prices to crash so they can get a deal. As I said, that ship has sailed entirely. If it didn't happen with 8% rates, it's not going to happen with 6% rates. We only have 500,000 homes for sale in a country of over 300 million people. And demand is about to pick up, not only from rates dropping, but also from seasonality. The spring market is coming fast. The second category of people I'm talking to here is the I'm going to wait for mortgage rates to drop more so I can buy. To you, I would say, if you wait for mortgage rates to drop, and they do, you're going to buy at a higher price. There is no scenario where you get a lower rate without a higher price, because low rates mean high demand, which means prices go up. So again, please don't wait to buy. Don't wait for the spring demand to enter in. Don't wait for rates to drop. If you believe rates are going to drop, that's great. You get to refinance when they do, and you'll already be living in your home. You saw the chart. When demand comes back, there's only 500,000 homes for sale in the entire country. You don't want to be competing for one of those few houses with every other buyer. Okay, moving on, we're starting with national housing inventory. This week we had a decrease of 7,657 homes for sale in the country. And again, this number will continue to decrease all the way until we start the spring market, which last year, the bottom for inventory was actually April 14th. So if last year was our template, we could be dropping in inventory from now until the middle of April. That means less homes to choose from every single week. Now, before COVID, Inventory would usually bottom out around the end of January. Since COVID, it's been getting later and later. It was in March, now it's in April. But we are down to just 538,767 homes for sale in the entire country. And remember, that number is going to drop every week, potentially all the way to the middle of April. Now let's look at new listings data. This is the number of homes being listed every week. As you can see, we were below most of the year. We finally caught back up. This is great news. We're back to 2021 levels regarding the number of people who listed this week. So we're higher than we were in 2022 and just about where we were in 2021. This is great news. This is what we want to see. We need more people listing their homes. Of course, we're not going to do a video next week, but you can know it's going to drop, and then the following week it's going to drop even more. But this is good news. Then the last thing we're going to cover is the number of homes having price decreases. As you can see, we're well below where we were last year. That's basically what we're looking at here. This week, about 38% of homes listed are having price cuts, which is down from 41% last year. So all season, we've consistently seen less homes are having price cuts this year than last year. And the only reason I show this every week is if there were a market crash coming, you would see it in this data. There would be more homes having price decreases this year versus last year, and they're not. And we'll look at all this for our local markets here in a minute. Okay, moving on to mortgage rates. We started last week at a 7.1, got all the way down to 6.62. That is awesome. Then we had a tiny bounce up to 6.64, and that's where we're gonna start our week. And I also wanna point out, at least on the 14th, we were only 0.35% higher than where mortgage rates were a year ago. So we're getting very close to where rates were a year ago. And regarding the number of people applying for mortgages, we actually saw another 4% increase this week. That makes for 5 straight weeks of increasing demand. And this makes for a total of 23 positive, 23 negative, and 2 completely neutral prints regarding mortgage purchase applications for the year. Okay, before we get to the local data, 2 things. The first is I'm putting together an online home buying seminar. I plan to do the first one in January and hope to do it regularly throughout next year. If that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments. But this is basically going to be for anyone who's even thinking about buying a home within the next year in the DFW area. The second is I've developed a max affordability calculator, and this will help you very quickly and easily get into the ballpark of what home price you should actually be looking in. It'll give you a few different options to choose from, and it takes into account everything all the way down to your tax bracket. It's more comprehensive than any calculator you're going to find on the internet. It's super easy to use and it's completely free to use, so please take advantage of it. If you're interested in this, you can watch this video and it'll do a walkthrough for you next. Okay, moving on to the local markets, we're going to start with MLS data, and I just want to say again, around the holidays, all the data gets weird, so take this with a grain of salt, but I'm still going to report it anyway. Starting with Dallas County, we had 249 closed sales in the last week. That's 21 more than last week. 240 homes went under contract, 2 more than last week. 305 new listings. That's 81 less than last week. Of the homes that closed, 52 were immediate sales, meaning they contracted within the first week. That's 8 more than last week. In total, there are 1,758 homes either under contract or in pending status in Dallas County. Now let's move on to Collin County. We had 211 closed sales, 33 more than last week. 134 went under contract, 17 less than last week. 219 new listings, 34 less than last week. Of the homes that sold, 33 were immediate sales. That's 10 more than last week. In total, there are 1,402 homes either under contract or in pending status. That's 4 less than last week. Okay, let's move on to local housing data, starting with Dallas County. If you've seen my videos, you know I use the Market Action Index, which just takes into account all of this data, puts it into one easy to read graphic with a number. We're at a 41, which is a slight seller's advantage. We have been around this range for a while, as you can see, ever since really November, just kind of up and down around this 41, 42 range. Nothing really remarkable to talk about this week. Median list price, basically where it was last week. And again, around the holidays, this isn't really reliable data. Median price of new listings had to jump up for the last couple of weeks, last 2 weeks. Median days on market, though, did climb to 56, but this is all totally normal for the point of the season we're in. Basically, everything should just be slowing down, and it is. But the number of homes having price decreases is actually dropping. It's down to 43.74, and it was as high as 46%. What else? Inventory obviously is going to continue to drop again, could be through mid-April if last year is our indicator. And just to highlight, the number of homes having price decreases this week at a 43.74, well, last year it was at a 46.58. So again, less homes having price decreases this year than last year. Now let's move on to Collin County. Remember, Dallas was a 41, Collin is a 43, so a little bit hotter, but again, they've been in a range from about October 27th, around the 42, 43 range. Median list price barely dropped, 579 to 575. Median price of new listings still you can just see everything has been in a range. They also jumped up to 56 median days on market. Number of homes having price decreases, of course, continues to drop. Their inventory looks to be going down a little bit faster though. Long story short, they're also in a slight seller's advantage. Number of homes having price decreases for them, 44.54, down from 54.27 a year ago. So almost 10% less homes having price decreases in Collin County this year versus last year. Okay, now let's move on to my favorite part. This is the top 10 hottest and coolest cities and zip codes in all of Dallas and Collin counties. And this is ranked using that market action index number that we just were talking about. So starting with the absolute hottest cities this week, Carrollton, Coppell, Louisville, and Duncanville all remain in their top spots. Prosper heats up 2, Plano cools off 1, Irving heats up 1, Richardson jumps back onto the list at number 8 this week. Sachse cools off 3, Garland cools off 1, and Mesquite gets knocked completely off the list from number 10. So number 10 to off. Then zooming into the hottest Dallas zip codes, this is Carrollton 75010, followed by Irving 75063, Louisville 75077, Duncanville 75116, Carrollton 75007, Louisville 75067, Coppell 75019, Garland 75042, Dallas 75287, and Plano 75075. So if you live in any of those zip codes, you can get top dollar for your property still. You're still in a very hot market. A 64 is very hot. A 30 or below is a buyer's market, so a 64 is very hot. Now moving on to the same thing, but the coolest cities. Ferris cools off 1, and as you'll see, the last couple of weeks we've been having some below 30, so buyer's markets. We have no buyer's markets this week, but Ferris cools off 1 to the lowest spot at 30.11. Van Alstyne cools off 2, Leonard heats up 2, Whitewright heats up 1, Seagoville remains, Farmersville cools off 1, Nevada cools off 2, Rockwall remains, Salina heats up 3, and Sunnyvale replaces Royce City for the number 10 spot. So Royce City heated up all the way off the list and was replaced by Sunnyvale this week. Now zooming in on the coolest zip codes, the absolute coolest, this one zip code is considered a buyer's market because it's below a 30. That would be Dallas 75212. So if you're looking for an opportunity, this would be it. Followed by Ferris 75125, Dallas 75220, Van Alstyne 75495, Leonard 75452, Whitewright 75491, Rockwall 75032, Seagoville 75159, Farmersville 75442, and Nevada 75173. So that's it, guys. The last video of 2023. It's been so much fun doing this with all of you. I can't wait to do it next year. Thank you all for tuning in every week. As always, if you're looking to buy or sell in the Dallas area, call, text, or shoot me an email. I would love to connect. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and I'll see you next year.